I know you've been raving about this for the past couple of days. And I was just very curious about it, but I refrained from asking you any questions because I wanted you to answer them on the
Yeah.
podcast. And specifically, I'm talking about GOATA, right?
Okay.
Something that you've been mentioning
Mhm.
quite a bit actually. And not only that, you've been ecstatic about it. That it's actually really effective.
Yeah.
And I've seen you on the field now after your injury and everything. And before we get into that, as curious as I am, I do want you to walk me through kind of what happened. You had an injury.
Yeah.
What was that injury? So how'd you got it? Where were you playing before that? What level you were playing at? So all that shebang.
Yeah. So I think in order for me to sort of explain this, I'd have to go a little way back.
Okay.
A little bit back.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess I'll just start with, I guess we were talking about my first experience with soccer at the World Cup in Indonesia. So yeah, that was obviously that was just like me recreationally playing.
Yeah.
After that there was a MYSC, Muslim Youth Soccer Club here.
Okay.
Maps, which was a lot of fun, but I was garbage. I mean, I thought it was.
You gotta start somewhere.
But yeah, but it was a lot of fun. And I just sort of played recreationally throughout. And then when I was 12, I was sort of when my passion really kicked in for soccer.
Right.
And by the way, up till I was like 10 or 11, actually, I think my passion really started at probably at 10.
Okay.
Because
after that World Cup.
yeah,
you
after,
had the World
after
Cup
that
fever,
World Cup,
basically.
yeah. After that World Cup, yeah, I was pretty big. I was pretty like chubby. Probably even obese. I don't even know, but probably even obese. But
dang, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and then soccer, and also just me trying to be healthy. Like I kind of did some research on nutrition and pretty much through I guess puberty probably.
Yeah.
And eating healthy. I got super thin.
Right.
I got from like
you are right now.
But even thinner. I was like a stick when I was like 10, 11, 12.
Wow.
Because I really wanted to play soccer really well. And so I knew that I just had to, be skinny.
Yeah. Have you seen Ronaldo R9 lately?
R9?
Yeah, he still plays pretty well. Yeah. I mean, but he's got all of that.
Yeah,
lovely...
except for whatever reason, my stamina was always off. Right? My stamina was always off, and it was the excess weight, I thought so.
Right.
But I think it was also just a side effect of me playing a lot and eating healthily. I remember I even before every meal, because I didn't really know too much about the details of nutrition other than eating healthy. Yeah, I would literally eat a bowl of salad before every meal.
So you were inducing that ketosis basically.
Yeah. And I never really knew what was going on. I just know that okay, this is healthy. Yeah, this is not healthy, and that's what I ate. Yeah. And I even like, for example, us Indonesians always eat white rice. I made the switch to brown rice.
Oh really?
Yeah.
But actually, it's interesting because I'm taking a nutrition class right now, and studies suggest that like it has no difference.
I was about to say that. I was about to say that exactly like my idea of nutrition. It was just I'm eating healthy, but I also just ate. But now I kind of understand more about it's not as black and white as it is. There's a lot of gray area, right? And in fact, there's a lot of supposedly good stuff for nutrition that are actually completely not good for you, or not even.
Biggest example being carbs.
Yeah, another example is what is that called? The pyramid.
Oh yeah, the food pyramid.
The pyramid.
Yeah, they actually changed it to something called my plate now.
To the plate. Yeah.
But it's I mean, it was definitely a scam, but it's very important for us being football players, soccer players. A lot of people they overlook these key aspects. Yeah. Nutrition, diet,
no
sleep,
doubt. It's important.
Recovery, all this stuff. But yeah, please continue.
Yeah, and exactly, no doubt, all this is important. And honestly, it's super simple. Yeah. In terms of a good nutrition and diet, obviously there's as a soccer player, as a person, you want to have the right amount of carbs, protein, and all that. But the most simplest thing is to eat natural raw foods. Just don't go
not so much
process,
of the process,
you know,
stuff,
all that stuff. That's like the super simple part.
Yeah, actually, I learned. Sorry, to cut you off again, but I learned that if you have like even one serving of any kind of processed food, that like covers your sodium intake for the day. Like it goes over that. So the adequate intake, or actually, the adequate intake for sodium is 2,500 milligrams, right? But usually in processed food, you'll find at least like 2,700, 2,800.
Plus all the other additional chemicals that they
exactly.
put in,
So like, and sodium is actually the biggest concern. Like the biggest concern with having so much sodium is hypertension or high blood pressure. Which is like a big health risk, especially if you're doing like cardiovascular activity like football. Exactly. But yes, the injury. Yeah.
So, anyways, like when I was 12, I joined my first club, Crossfire Select. Crossfire Select is there's just quick. Premier is the club where you pay a decent amount of money, you get 3 practices, and you play locally and nationally.
Oh really?
Yeah. Okay. But Crossfire Select, it was like basically the cheaper option, where you'd only get 2 practices a week and you play
Sunday league basically.
Not exactly Sunday league. There's still it's like Saturday, either Saturday or Sunday we'd have a game, but it's only Sunday league. Basically it is basically like Sunday league, and you play in Washington, but more locally, you know.
Okay.
Whereas Premier, you could go a little
different states,
further, and even tournaments out of state, right?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So that's the team that I joined. I actually had a lot of fun there. We had we won like a couple of trophies and all that.
Oh yeah.
But then when I went into freshman year in high school, I thought it was good, especially because I was really good at Crossfire Select. Right. But Crossfire Select is like a Sunday league, like you said. So
you wanted something more regular.
When I played, when I tried out for high school soccer, I thought it was gonna be a walk in the park, make varsity easy. Yeah. Little did I know, I was like,
you underestimated that.
Tryouts were the 3 hardest like soccer days, at least at that time for me. Wow. Like I worked hard. I basically just busted my ass like so much. Yeah. Wow. And me and this Mexican guy, we
well, you gotta get racist on the podcast, bro.
Me and this Latino guy, me and my brother, me and my friend, we were kind of together the whole time because we were like the 2 like worst. Oh yeah. Not worst. Listen, we were like the 2 worst who made C team. Okay. But there was like 60, 70 other worst kids. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Because the school's pretty competitive. It's a 4A school. And most of the players that were on that C team were people who played either in Select or Premier, you know, who were pretty good. So who played at a higher level than and the varsity was insane. So yeah. And that C team, we actually went undefeated. No, we only lost 1 game, but we were top of the team.
Basically undefeated. Yeah. How many matches did you have like per season?
I think C team had like 15 to 2 or something like that.
Okay, per season. Yeah. Okay, so is that where you got that injury?
No. Okay, this is still way back.
Okay.
So yeah, and it was after that season that I was really dedicated, really pushing, but it wasn't to play, at a super high level. It was just to make varsity. Because again, it's like that high school mentality where like you really just want to get somewhere. Yeah, right? So the goal was to get varsity. So in that summer, I grinded hard. I worked hard, and this is sort of where my training kind of began. Okay. So this GOATA training. No.
Or training for football.
For soccer. Yeah. Okay. Training for soccer. I even studied more about nutrition. I looked into the gym, and this is when I started training the gym. So I was 14 years old. I started training in the gym.
So this is all self-study, self-education.
Yeah, self-education.
You're learning yourself. Yeah. And that's great because I see a lot of successful people, and all of them are raving about self-education.
Yeah, exactly. And just really, it's really how you learn.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true.
And so, kind of a little side note. I remember this Palestinian brother. When I was in Turkey, he told me, and we were having this conversation, and he just told me, super important. when the student is ready, the knowledge will come.
Wow.
So it's never about, you need a teacher or you need this.
Yeah.
When the student is ready, the knowledge comes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's not a lot of words, because you see a lot of verbose quotes that have deep meaning, but you don't see a lot of small, short quotes that have a lot of meaning to them, a lot of weight. But yeah, that's fantastic. But continue, anyways.
Yeah. So I think I was when I was 14.
Yeah.
So
you grinded hard for varsity.
Yeah. Grinded hard for varsity. And then it was also that year that I joined this kind of emerging club. My friend was on it. It's called Lake Washington Premier, because it's a premier team. I wanted to join a premier team. And luckily this was a newer club, so it was cheaper. It was basically the same price as select, but we still get the benefits of premier. So that was actually a good experience. I went on that. And then trials came the next year. And the first day I did really well. Yeah. Second day I did okay. But then third day I felt like I choked. But really, I was starting to feel a little bit like my body was just like not really keeping up the way I wanted it to be. You know what I'm saying? Like I could play well with my feet, but then for whatever reason, I was like burst out like, oh, this is an excuse. My body is just an excuse. Yeah. I gotta work harder, right? And so that year, I made C team again. I didn't even make it to JV or varsity.
So there's C team, there's JV.
Yeah, junior varsity.
Okay, and then there's varsity. So there's 3 levels.
Yeah.
Okay. So C is like the reserves, JV is kind of like the subs.
It's not like that.
Or the youth team.
It's 3 different teams.
Okay.
In 3 different leagues. There's a varsity league.
Oh, okay.
JV league and C team. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so I made it to C team again, but sometimes you could get called up and stuff. But yeah, I was kind of the leader of that C team that year. But still, that was really because you trying to make it to varsity. That's the goal. And I really felt like if I couldn't play varsity, I could at least have played JV. C team was just too low of a level. But again, it was really what I felt was my body. And so this is where I continued to grind, and my schedule actually was crazy. I would most of the time I would have 4 to 5 gym sessions
a week.
Yeah, a week.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then I'd have a training session, individual training session,
like once per week.
No, every day. Okay. And then a team training session.
Oh wow! So you were basically overtraining.
Yeah. So I was basically overtraining. Yeah. But I didn't think I was overtraining. I thought I was just
working hard.
Yeah. And so this continued until 2019. And this is where I kind of had my first injury. My first injury was with my ankle. Okay. But that was what they said. I had osteogonum. Osteogonum is like an extra piece of bone in between my ankle. So basically, sometimes if I flex a little bit or hyperextend, it would it would crunch in between, and there's a tendon and stuff. So it would cause an inflammation on.
So you had literally an extra bone in the middle of your foot. Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. Yeah. So did you have surgery to have that removed?
So at first I didn't have surgery. I just took the normal route of whatever. And
physical therapy.
Yeah, physical therapy. Yeah. And this is funny because most people, at least the stories of athletes, when they're injured, they come out like that. Yeah. Yeah. And I understood why, because basically after when that injury, I was out for let's say 2 months. And I was okay. Now it's time to focus on my body, my physique. Yeah. And this is where I cut. I learned I learned a whole lot about nutrition. Okay. I was on this strict nutrition. Focus on my protein, focus on everything. Yeah. And I was able to cut to 11-12% body fat. Oh wow. And then oh wow. I continued to lift and all that, and I got to I think it was 165 or something pounds. And so
11 to 12% of body fat is crazy amount. Yeah. You must have been fat.
Yeah. So I got the physique. I got the physique basically. Okay. And then once I was able to play again, it was good. And this was 2019 to 2020. So 2020, come tryouts again, and we had tryouts. Yeah. And this year, literally right before tryouts.
Yeah.
Even though I successfully rehabbed, my ankle hit again.
Oh wow.
That same area. But I was like, okay, I'll put an ankle strap.
Yeah.
And I just played tryouts.
The tryouts. Okay.
Yeah. And so that year, I got cut. But then the next day, they were like, it's canceled. The whole season is canceled because COVID.
Oh God.
So I was like, dang. But I was still like beat up. I was like, dang, I got cut, right?
Yeah. How old were you at this point?
This is 2020, right?
Yeah.
Was it
2020 is when COVID hit.
So
it started December 2019, but it really hit like 2020.
So I was 16. At the time.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. This is a big thing. Like getting cut at that age. Like that's a mental toll right there.
Yeah. Especially because I thought I've worked so hard and I was able to,
So how did you cope with that?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously COVID hit and all that. Yeah. But literally it took just a week for me to just kind of wind down and then start training again. And so I was like, okay, now COVID hit. Yeah. And then I started training. Literally went to Marymore. There's that wall,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And so literally the schedule, because everything was online, I would literally in the morning I'd have a 2-hour. I'm still going back to this working hard. Yeah. Same type of schedule,
Okay, so five individual trainings or gym sessions, and then 7 individual trainings per week, right?
Yeah. And this is actually where is this overtime athletes called overtime athletes, and I got an online call with them. And we did this like personal training where I would improve my athleticism, my speed, everything. And so I did that, and really the results were amazing. In 3 months, there was like something like where my 5-10 yard, they had these tests. I cut down like 10 seconds. My height was, it was a lot of good results, right? And this is also after, what's funny is that that ankle. Yeah. I just wiped Zam over it. Yeah. And it actually like went away. Not instantly, but after like a couple of weeks it went away. And I was like, okay, alhamdulillah, it just went away. Yeah. So I started training every day again. And one time in Marymore, I met this 06 kid, and he was on like the B team of a premier team. Oh yeah. But he was also kind of in the same mindset as me, where we'd go train and stuff. And I don't know what happened. I just like, let's just train together. Yeah. So we trained together, and literally every single morning up till like February of the next year, 2021, we'd go train every single day together. Wow. And what happened was on February, I was like, you know what, I have a little bit of time, because my ankle actually started bugging a little bit again. I was like, let's get the surgery, because the guy recommended a while back the treatment. He was like, either you do conservative treatment or a surgery to get that bone out. It was like the recovery is 2 months. Yeah. So
you got time. Let's do it.
Let's do it. And also, I forgot to mention that I joined Crossfire Premier that summer.
Oh, again?
Yeah. Okay. Crossfire Premier, and this was still COVID, so there was no like.
Wait, so this is the second time you went back to Crossfire?
So there was Crossfire Select, remember?
Oh, okay.
This time I joined the Premier.
Oh, okay.
You spend a little bit more money. Yeah. But you get 3 practices and you get a good game and stuff like that. Yeah. I see you. Because I was like, I still have my senior year, so I could play varsity then. Yeah. And so I had that surgery. From February, the rehab went till March or April. Right? March and April, that was Ramadan of 2021. Ramadan of 2021. On April, was the tryouts for high school. Yeah.
So during Ramadan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was actually pretty hot. I remember.
Yeah. It got weird. Yeah. I think that was the hottest summer in Seattle. Summer. Yeah.
And so the first day I did pretty good, and then the second day I have no idea why, but it's again the same story of where my body just does not want to keep up. Like there's always something bugging. Right, and I've always thrown it as an excuse. I just gotta work harder.
You think? Yeah. You think that might have something to do with the training you're doing?
Yeah. And so, on the third day, third and final day, coach was actually already saying that I'm in the roster. So like I already made it.
Okay.
But then I was like, okay, I got like half an hour left. Let me just show them that, you know, I truly deserve to get a starting spot on the team. You know, because there was a lot of good guys on it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, finally, right?
This is your chance. Yeah.
And then I remember I was playing midfield, and I was like kind of in the back a little bit.
Okay.
And then there was a long ball from like let's say like from over there.
The right side?
The right side, yeah.
Okay.
It was coming this way. It came short. It came like right here, and I'm over here. And so the other player, the intended receiver of the pass, he was coming to run the ball, and I was coming to get to the ball.
And this was the guy on the other team?
This was the guy on the other team. And I was like right here trying to get the ball.
Yeah.
And so
you had contact?
So let me tell the story.
Yeah. My bad.
The ball's coming here, and I'm kind of coming from this angle. And I'm like running full sprint.
Okay.
And again, I'm telling you, my body is kind of feeling like slow and tired and heavy, and something's bugging, right? And so I reached my foot out, but my whole body was facing this way. And then I reached my foot out. I got the ball. Yeah. But for whatever reason, like I just completely fell to the ground. And like I heard this massive pop. Like this massive pop. I was like, what is that? And then so like it was pretty painful in the instant. But then like after a while I was able to walk it off. Like, okay. You know, we're chilling a little bit. Yeah. You know, I started running again. Got the ball. And then my knee kind of snapped again.
Oh boy.
Again. I was like, what is going on? And this happened like a couple times. Yeah. I was like, okay, I'm gonna just sit out. Like, there's definitely something wrong. Yeah. And then, you know, I was actually a little bit I was a little bit concerned, but I was also like happy, like, okay, I know I'm on the team. I just, you know, this could probably heal.
You know, I'm gonna play next week.
Yeah. But then that night in Ramadan, I led prayer here, and maps here. Yeah. And it was just weirdly so hard to bend down. Oh God. I was like, dang. And then the next morning, after Fajr, you know, after this was like 12 o'clock or something. Because remember, Kobe, we didn't have school or anything. So after like 12, woke up at Dhuhr time. And when I woke up, I literally could not walk. Oh wow! Like my knee was huge and stuff like that.
So your body was basically in the recovery.
Yeah, phase. In the recovery phase. Yeah, I was like, damn, you know, what could it be? Yeah. But, you know, alhamdulillah, it was Ramadan. I'm like, okay, I'll just focus on Ramadan, but I'll tell my coach and all that. And then 2 weeks later, we had an MRI, and the MRI said that it was a fully torn ACL. Oh, so I was like, God. Damn. And that actually hit me hard. Like that was actually probably one of the hardest things for me. Wow. The fact that the ACL tore, and because you know that when an ACL is gonna be a long recovery process, about a year. So like as somebody who's been training like every single day and really just wanting to play soccer, like all that work and now you can't really do anything. Wow. Yeah. So
that's crazy. So you said it had a recovery time of a whole year.
So the typical ACL recovery is 6 months to a year, which
depends on how big the tear is, I'm guessing.
No, because either way you're gonna get surgery. So it's you get surgery and then the whole recovery process is a year to strengthen it and all that.
Wow. Yeah. I think I got this beginning of 2021. Yeah. I got a hamstring injury. Yeah. And I'm sure you know about this, but that was 3 months, and I was out I couldn't play for 3 months, and that sucked. Yeah. So 6 months to a year, that must have been bad for you. Yeah. But please continue. Yeah. What happened after that?
Yeah. So after that, you know, I was trying to schedule the surgery as much as possible. And even then, this is where like I continued to go to the gym and had like try to focus on my body instead. And you know, alhamdulillah, like basically through this, like my physique was just getting better and better. Yeah. But my soccer was kind of, I mean, I got better for sure, but it was just sort of like I wasn't really getting anywhere. I was getting a little bit better, but my body was breaking down at the same time. So then I had the surgery like in July and stuff, and then you know, after a whole year of doing rehab and stuff, but it was during this time where I was sort of just like searching for like, you know, how is it that you know, these players are staying healthy and you know, I thought I was doing all the right things. I even figured out that maybe I was overtraining and I had, you know, to scale it back a little bit.
Right. Which you eventually ended up doing.
Which I actually did before. I actually figured this out like a little bit before, like my high school and all that. But still, right? My body was not. So it wasn't really overtraining or, you know, any of that. So this is where I actually found this guy. He's called Football Entangled.
Okay.
A lot of people might have heard of him, or this guy named Chang Ji, Secret of Athleticism, where they talk about this thing called the fascia.
Okay.
Where like the muscle is not the main driver, but it's the fascia. Right. At least that's what they say. And there's
so main driver of what?
Of sort of like your movement and stuff like that. Like there's a fascia connection.
Right.
Fascia is basically if you look at a human skeleton, there's that red part which is the muscle, and there's the white part.
Oh, okay.
The white part is the fascia. It's like the whole connection, and the fascia is a whole connected thing.
It's like a whole connected tissue. It's basically the tissue that holds your muscles and your bones together.
Exactly. And it covers your muscles, and it covers the inner muscles, and it covers. So there's a lot of fascia. There's way more fascia, right?
Interesting.
Yeah. And fascia is, you know how muscle is driven by glucose,
right,
and carbs and stuff. Whereas fascia is by water. So that's why they're like,
you gotta stay hydrated.
Yeah. At least what they're saying, you know how these players like Gavi, like Pedri, all these young stars are taking over like big muscular guys and stuff.
Yeah.
It's because they have this really strong fascia connection. Even Messi too. He has a really strong fascia connection. And this is a whole nother topic.
Yeah. But give me like in a nutshell version of like how you strengthen your fascia.
Yeah, like so they actually have certain exercises, and I actually did them because I looked into their YouTube and stuff like that, and basically like you'll end up with a connection. Like for example, if I was to squeeze my arch, I feel the connection in my glutes, and then it'll get to my abs because again the fascia is a connected system. Whereas when you train the muscle alone, you're kind of breaking that connection of the fascia. That's why, like, at least for me, I was like, this makes sense because I was training all that gym work, and I wasn't really getting anywhere. I was sort of getting stronger and bigger, but in terms of my fluidity and my movement and everything, I was not, not getting better.
Your mobility was basically the same.
Yeah.
Or even worse, would you say?
Not even that, because I did a whole lot of mobility and yoga stuff, but there are these things called fascia adhesions, where these fascia adhesions sometimes come from like training in a certain way. You know, when you do squats, you're training up and down, up and down. So your fascia is not really, there's adhesions, and like the twisting motion is limited, or is not as fluid as it could be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Anyway, it's a whole other topic.
Might have to put out another podcast just on that.
Just talk about movement and stuff like that. But yeah, anyways, I did the fascia work and stuff, and I did the whole rehab of what's it called, PT for ACL.
Okay.
And I got cleared and all that.
Which was recently, right?
Which was pretty recent, yeah. Like I got cleared to play from the ACL. It was in July. This July, yeah. Wow. So that was a whole year, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, actually, I got cleared at 10 months because I had the surgery a little bit, like August, right? I know July, so it was about 10 months where I was actually cleared, but I wasn't really like playing because
you want to take it slow.
I wanted to take it slow, but also I really felt like, well, obviously my legs kind of shrunk a lot, but I also felt like it just was not as strong as the left yet. So I kind of took it slow.
So this was your right leg.
This is my right leg.
And
yeah.
it all started with that bone in the right foot as well, right?
Probably has some connection, and it probably does. As I'll explain what GOATA is.
Right.
So, basically throughout the summer, as we've been playing and stuff like that. That was me kind of getting back into it, and I haven't done gym since that ACL injury. I've been doing calisthenics and stuff, but still for whatever reason, I definitely got better. I didn't have any ankle issues, because that fascia work was really good for me. But for whatever reason, like when I played, I had this like back pain, a little bit of back pain, and then after a while, I would have this burning sensation when I run, when I play.
In your legs?
In my legs, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Starting from the kind of the lower back all the way down. And it would get worse and worse, sort of. Like, you know, I would play for an hour, and I would really feel it.
So during all of this, you know, between your injury, your recovery, you being cleared, and then, you know, the idea of almost having made it to the Premier team, you know, and almost having played in it, unless the pop didn't happen, unless that didn't happen. What was your thought process through all of this? What were you thinking? You know, like especially at that moment, like right after you figured out that it was an ACL tear.
Yeah.
Like what was your thought process?
So, you know, obviously, my thought process was pretty much this. Everybody's got their story. Yeah. And my story is about to be great. You know what I'm saying? I went through all this, so my story is about to be great. Yeah. It's just gonna continue going forward. Right? Yeah. But at the same time, I was also thinking, you know, now that I have a little bit of time to kind of think about stuff. Yeah. You know, what can I do now? You know, and you know, I've always had goals to, you know, go far with my like business, Islamic studies, school, and soccer as well. Right. You know? So I was like, okay, now this is my time to really refocus on my Arabic, my Quran, my you know, Islamic studies in school. Right. Yeah. So you know, that's when I started doing Arabic online, and basically just stuff like that. Right.
Yeah. So you got a chance to just focus on other aspects of life.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. So moving towards the movement aspect of it, the core idea of the GOATA, basically. So give me a sentence of basically what GOATA is.
Yeah. I guess GOATA, it stands for the greatest of all time athletes. Okay. Or the greatest of all time actions.
Oh, so it's GOTA.
Yeah.
Oh, because it's funny because I was searching up, I was trying to Google it. I thought you've been calling it GOATA, like GODA. Oh no. And I didn't come up with anything. It came up with like arts and this and that. I was like, what is this guy talking about? Yeah. But I know it's also called foundation training.
So that's, I guess I'll get into this. So
about to get into GOATA. So you explained that GOATA stands for greatest of all time
athletes. Yeah. Greatest of all time action.
So we're gonna talk about foundation movement. Foundation training.
Foundation training. Yeah. So, okay. So foundation training is not GOATA. Okay. But it is. There's some similar aspects to it, and the founder of GOATA worked with the founder of foundation training. So there's, you know, it definitely is beneficial as well. Basically, let's say in the summer, I learned about GOATA. I was learning about it just through podcasts and stuff like that. And then when like the back issue was, you know, pretty bad, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna give it a shot. You know.
And
this was super recent. This was like a month ago. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And I had basically I applied for this guy's one-on-one training. He basically had a form. Like, you know, he's a GOATA coach, and I applied to learn from him and stuff. Okay. And so he taught me like, you know, what the whole system is about, the basic principles, the basic like the system in general. So the GOATA is a movement system, and the way that the founder, you know, came up with this is basically. The name is Coach Gill. Coach Gill was the founder, and he had a long history of injuries, surgeries, implants, and all that as well. Right. And so he also worked with foundation training that helped him as well. But then after that, he was like, you know what? He decided to observe athletes, top athletes who were like the best athletes, the best movers, and also those who are like rarely ever injured. He analyzed those people, a lot of them. He analyzed sort of young children, infants, babies, toddlers, And also other people as well joined in, like his friends and stuff. They're also coaches and stuff and founders as well. Co-founders and stuff. And they also analyze indigenous people, like people who, aren't kind of wearing modern cushion shoes, who aren't sitting down in chairs all day long, who are, super efficient in movement. Like, for example, you see Tarzan, right? You see Tarzan, he's like moving amazing.
All over the place.
All over the place, right? A lot of indigenous people are also like that. You see the Maasai, you know the Maasai?
Who?
Maasai people, they have a video of them like jumping like.
Oh, really?
Probably you never seen that?
No, I've never.
I think a lot of people seen the way they like jump from here to probably the ceiling.
Oh, facts?
Yeah.
That's like what? That's like 10 feet?
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah. So they analyze them, and through all that, they found patterns. So the patterns of how they move and stuff like that. Right. And just to, open the doors, talk about it a little bit. Our body moves in spirals,
Interesting.
It moves in spirals, and they call it bows and corners. So, for example, when you land, you're creating a bow with your leg, and then when you move, you're releasing into the corner, or you're releasing, and that's a corner.
Now that I think about it, when you're walking, you're basically making corners with your
bows
legs.
And corners. Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
And now, why a lot of people are getting injured more and more, especially nowadays, is because we've sort of decoded that movement. We're not moving in these bows and corners.
We're far away from the natural.
Yeah. And these factors, a lot of them come from, just sort of the more modern lifestyle in general. We're always
using
sitting
our
down,
phones,
we're always on our
computers,
phones,
all that stuff.
And then
even driving.
Yeah, even driving, where you sit and stuff, and also even when you.
Speaking of, fix my posture.
with the modern shoes, especially as well. It's sort of designed so that your feet, the bottom of your feet, aren't exactly working as much, and you're kind of pronating it. Okay.
So it's just flat.
What?
Your feet are just flat with the. I mean, basically.
No, you're supposed to have an arch, right?
Yeah.
You're supposed to have an arch, but then when your feet is not working and you're using the modern cushion, that fake arch. Now it's not working anymore, and over time it'll basically pony. Over time it'll basically pony, and this is where a lot of ankle injuries happen, and 100% of ACL tears happen with a ponated foot.
Wow.
Yeah, and so they have this principle. It's called inside ankle bone high. Inside ankle bone high is basically where the ankle bone, this ankle bone, the inside is always high. So
higher on like weed and stuff.
Like higher than this side.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like for example, when you pronate, it's like this, but this is always higher than this side.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So it's kind of like your feet are like slanted.
Except it's not. Here's the thing. See, this is why there's a lot of nuance. A lot of people are like, nobody's walking like that, or no, it doesn't make sense. But it's really, there's a lot of nuance, and you have to kind of really understand it. That's why, like, when I did that when I'm doing this one-on-one, he kind of like really teaching me, and it's making a lot of sense. And they even analyze modern players right now, like Messi. Like Messi's rarely injured. Think about it. Messi's really injured.
I've never seen that guy actually injured.
Very nice. Modric.
I mean, even Ronaldo, like he hardly. I mean, he gets injured.
But he's getting a little more injured.
Yeah.
But, still, they're analyzing these top athletes who are like
Cruz is never injured.
Yeah, Cruz and all these, and they all really fall into these patterns. And obviously, you're not always gonna be in these patterns because you're gonna move, but in general, like 90% of the time, you want to be in these patterns, which is again like bows, setting bows, corners, and stuff like that. So what they had me do, at least this first month and stuff, is the first goal was to get out of pain, and we're still in this goal because it's been helping a lot with that lower back pain, which was actually, it's called sciatica, where like there's a pinched nerve.
Oh yeah.
And that's causing.
Oh, you had sciatica?
Yeah. But so sciatica is a symptom.
Okay.
It's not like a.
It's not an actual disease.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's basically whenever that nerve, which is called the sciatic nerve, is pinched, That's called sciatica. Like you're gonna feel symptoms of sciatica. And a lot of people, like for example, older people, it's because of a degenerative disc. Right. Sometimes it's from a really tight butt muscle. It's called performer syndrome. For my case, I'm not sure what it is, but the issue is stemming from the lower back. Right. So there's definitely a lot of compression.
So it's either it's probably the hip, right?
It could be the hip it could be the hip or somewhere there. And so what they've had me done is these set of exercises, create bows, get into these patterns, and also it's a lifestyle. Like for example, like if you see the way I'm sitting, it's definitely not slouched like this. It's more like this,
straight up.
A little bit more straight up. A little bit more of that natural curve. And also like the way I walk, I've sort of shifted a little bit to make sure that I'm walking in the right pattern, the way I stand, like that. Because they had me an assessment, and I was pretty surprised because the results were, I never realized that my body was sort of a little bit far from these patterns.
Oh, really?
This is why actually all these injuries are happening because my body is not moving in the most efficient way.
Wow.
And the body is amazing because it can compensate. For example, right? I'm not moving in this efficient way, but now my body is getting efficient in this other way.
Right.
Like for example, when I was training with overtime athletes that I was talking about before, I was getting a lot of results. Right. And a lot of players are getting a lot of results with weightlifting and training in the gym and all that. It's because your body's compensating and getting efficient in these patterns. You're getting super good at lifting. You're getting super good in these new patterns. But that's not the natural way your body's designed to move.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you said it's kind of like a lifestyle too, right?
Yeah. Slow and it's not just athletes who take GOATA. It's literally anybody to get out of pain, to get feel good. Oh, and also I forgot to mention they also study elderly who are like still running right now. Like there's this lady that's like a 90-year-old who runs marathons.
Oh yeah. I saw that.
They analyze her, and she's like closer to the pattern. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, this pattern it'll take time to like recode your body because of all those years that you coded yourself to be away from these patterns.
Yeah.
It'll take time for you to code back into these patterns as well.
Interesting. So would you say like from the studies, I don't know if you've seen the studies or not, but like, is it true that like kids or like younger age human beings, kids basically have like patterns closer to those natural patterns? Because like they're much younger. They haven't done all these things for all these years. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. In fact, that's exactly what it is. Like younger toddlers, especially those who are either like playing sports, running around, or not like being influenced from a super young age. They all have those patterns. Wow. They all have those patterns. And like for example, one of the ways that they say to sit is called the Caesar position, where like I'll show you.
Go for it.
It's like this is like sitting like this, right?
Yeah.
If you see kids, they're always sitting like this,
Actually, yeah.
And a lot of us nowadays, we can't even sit like this because we're tight here, or we can't stand here long.
Yeah. You might feel something in your hamstring or something.
But kids can sit here all day.
Wow.
And so like now I can actually sit here pretty long. Like let's say like 15, 20 minutes.
Just looking at you, I have pain in my hamstring.
and when I started, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I could only sit like 2 minutes, and then like, but this is not even when I do homework. I'm like sitting like this sometimes.
Interesting.
So
come on back up here. But it's interesting because that's how. I know you guys couldn't see him down there, but to kind of give you guys a context. Context. It's basically, I've seen a lot of Japanese paintings and a lot of movies, in fact, portray Japanese people sitting like that. Yeah. It's not like your legs are crossed or anything. You're just sitting on your feet. Yeah. You're kind of sitting on your forelegs, basically. Yeah. Which is very interesting because Japanese people are actually
pretty healthy.
very healthy. Not only healthy, they're also
the elderly can walk.
Yeah, they can actually walk. They don't have so many cases of arthritis or bone related injuries like osteoporosis or anything like that, where you get a hunchback in old age or anything. I have not seen a lot of Japanese people with those kind of injuries, and that's or diseases. I mean, that's very interesting. So I guess they call, like, I was looking up, I was searching up stuff about foundation training as well. And I want you to kind of walk me through like how foundation training and GOATA training are related, because from what I understand is like the goal of foundation training is to get rid of that pain, right? But that pain also comes from the movement, and I noticed within foundation movement, they're focusing literally on your hips. The main focus is the hips and how your hips are moving. They don't want, like, a lot of their exercises don't have or exclude your hamstrings or exclude other parts of muscles, right? And they make you move your hips, as to say. I mean, not in like in a dancing fashion or anything, but their exercises just focuses on the hip, and then they're also like, because of that movement, because of their specific way of exercising, they allow multiple muscles to work together. So how would you say the GOATA and foundation training are related to each other?
So again, my coach was telling me that the GOATA coach, Coach Gil, he worked with the founder of foundation training, which is Eric Goodman. And Gil, he got some good success with foundation training. In terms of getting out of that pain, because foundation training works really well, and I do the foundation training that he sends me as well. And there's a lot of GOATA coaches that does foundation training as well, but mostly to decompress the body, decompress the spine, create a little bit more space in the hips and all that. But then in terms of movement and stuff, Coach Gil, basically after he did all this observation, he came back to sort of, these are the findings, but a lot of them are like, you crazy. There's no like science, for example. And this is the main criticism of GOATA, is that there's no scientific data in terms of studying the muscle inside and all that. Even though, like for example, when you're studying muscle and stuff, they're studying like, they take samples of this and all that,
adipose tissue, and muscle fat, and muscle tissue and whatnot, right?
And GOATA is just observation, learning through observation, which literally makes sense. And what it is that you can't really create a paper or research about this just through observation. They're like
life.
You need the science.
I think
you need the lab.
I think the only literature that can actually achieve that is probably the Quran. Because that's literally the essence of life in there. So yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense to me too, considering.
But even new foundation training stuff, they're doing GOATA principles.
Oh really?
Yeah. So I think they've done some.
So would you say this is also not only just a lifestyle, but it's also a spiritual commitment?
A spiritual?
A spiritual commitment to GOATA, the foundation.
I think if you want to live a good, healthy body lifestyle, then GOATA is an answer, because even when I'm thinking about it, I'll be looking at how the Prophet lived his life, and how we pray. How we pray is actually within the GOATA principles.
Wow.
Like for example, you make sujood, and then you go in that position. That's in the GOATA principles.
Wow.
So it's like it aligns. You know what I'm saying? And then also the Prophet they would describe that he would walk and lean a little bit when he would walk, and this is
again GOATA
principle, because there's a GOATA principle where it's called front chain dominance and back chain dominance. Naturally, when you move forward, you're using your back chain dominant. But a lot of people now, because of the training and stuff, are front chain dominant. For example, I'm gonna show you that when you see people pray, this is what you'll find 100% of the time, almost all the time.
Yeah.
You see, watch. You see my body? Just look at my hips.
Yeah.
Right? Like this, right? Most of the time you'll see people like this. You see how like my thing is a little bit further?
Yeah.
Now I'd say rest your body a little bit. Kind of. You see the difference?
Yeah.
This is actually the natural way that your body is, and you see like your whole, it was all tense. Now it's kind of all relaxed.
It just felt calmer. Yeah. You know, it just felt like you were relaxed, a lot more relaxed, a lot more natural.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because according to Darwin's theory, which again is just a theory, and I'm not a believer of that theory. Yeah. But even according to a scientist's theory, like that's what we evolved from. We were, hunched down, like gorillas are, like monkeys are. They're basically walking on all fours, And if which is a long shot, if Darwin's theory is true, which it's not, even if you did evolve from a monkey, that makes total sense. Like you'd be hunched forward, because that's what you're coming from. That's what you're evolving from.
Yeah, but even you're not really hunched that much forward. You're just kind of utilizing the back muscle, the backside more to propel you forward.
Yeah. I think I misused the word hunch. I think inclined is a better word, because if you look at all these apes and monkeys, they look like they're inclined, but their back is basically straight. Yeah. They're walking straight up. Their chest is out. Which is also something that I noticed the foundation training had. You pumped out your chest basically, and then you had your natural curve of the back, which is basically like that. And it actually kind of makes sense. So that's very interesting. But you've been in this for a month. So how have you found it, and how long is the actual process itself?
Yeah. So, in terms of the actual process, it really depends on the person, because recoding is kind of, now it's like a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. It's not like you get the result and then you forget about it. No, now it's like a lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
So
you gotta stick with it.
Yeah, exactly. Which is still really good. So basically, it's been amazing actually, because for example, from the bottom up, from my ankle, even when I run and jog, and my hips. Before, let's say you'd hit a gym session or something, and then the next day you kind of feel a little bit stiff, you gotta get a little bit warm. Literally, when we played that Saturday, even after the warm up, I was like, I'm ready to go. My hips was so shifty, and I was
you're not moving naturally.
I was not feeling tight at all, anyway. Now there were still remnants of that sciatic pain, but that sciatic pain was like a nerve issue. So the nerve is kind of calming down, but it's not completely gone. And it just needs,
it's gonna take
nerve takes time to heal.
Yeah, right? Definitely. Makes sense.
But basically, I think what happened was, it's what my coach was explaining to me. For example, that pinched nerve was due to a compressed spine, compressed hip. Now that we've created space, it's better. The nerve is able to run.
Flow much better. The blood's flowing much better than before.
But let's say it was damaged, right? It was damaged, so now it's kind of healing. But that's why I still feel it a little bit. But it's not hurting me too much, or I know that I'm not moving in the wrong direction, in the right direction. But and so now we're kind of shifting. We're still in trying to get out of pain, but we're also now trying to improve the athleticism, because again, we know how to set the bow, which is sort of that pulling back, and then now it's releasing into that corner, releasing basically trying to get faster, more athletic, even build muscle, and because with GOATA training, you basically, for example, push-ups is or all these movements, as long as in the GOATA pattern, you're kind
body weight movements basically.
You could even do weights.
Oh really?
Yeah. Like for example, there's the GOATA squat. You could add weight and a weight vest and stuff when you get better, when you get stronger. But as long as you get that foundation down, you can start adding weight. Because as long as you get the pattern down, then you're not gonna get injured. Because the problem with traditional weightlifting is you're moving out of these good patterns, and then when you run and when you do all these, you're
preparing yourself for a specific set of movements which don't apply to other.
Yeah.
So technically, I mean, this is basically what professional footballers do. They have the movement down. They should apply that to weightlifting because like a lot of professional footballers, they do the gym. They go to gym. They do weight training and all that stuff.
But I think for that is a little different because a lot of these professional guys, some of them, for example, let's say, are not in the GOATA principle, but their bodies are really good at compensating, and they've already compensated, and they actually, if you find them, a lot of them are getting injured, but they still can play. Whereas some players are actually really good in the GOATA pattern, and even the little bit of weightlifting that they do and stuff is not taking them away from their natural movement, because they're playing so much more of the time, and they've already had good patterns, and so they're having a lot more input of good patterns than bad input from, for example, training in a linear way that could cause like ACL tear and stuff. Which, by the way, a case was Paul Pogba. There was a video of him just doing in the off season. He was doing work with this guy, and he was doing like these sort of lunges. But these sort of lunges, his knee was kind of rotating inwards a little bit more, and it's kind of like going straight up and down, up and down. And he was obviously, you're gonna get stronger, you're gonna get more muscular in your legs, but he was teaching that movement to his brain, in his brain, and in the season, he had his meniscus torn.
Oh, wow.
Because obviously in that movement where your knee's kind of inward a little bit, you're also, the ankle is also pronated. 100% of like ACL tears, a lot of these injuries is when ankle is pronated. So
I gotta send this podcast to Pogba. He gets injured so much. He's injured right now. In fact.
Exactly. And a lot of these injuries are coming from. That's why actually a lot of young players, they're good, and then they start hitting the gym, and a lot of them are, some of them are getting bigger and stronger and better, but a lot of them are also getting injured all of a sudden. Like for example, Neymar. Neymar, when he was skinny and all that,
is a controversial player to talk about.
But he was really good, right? There was from Santos to Brazil to Barcelona. And then we saw that he got a little bit more size, and there's nothing inherently wrong with getting bigger and stronger.
I like how you excluded PSG.
But
Farmers League.
But the point is, he's teaching sort of these patterns that are
not natural, unnatural,
which is kind of where these injuries are kind of coming up. Whereas Messi, for example, he actually does not spend too much in the gym. He's playing all the time, and he's just got that natural GOATA pattern, which
goats do goat stuff.
Goats do goats, exactly.
It's interesting.
So that's pretty much GOATA in a nutshell. There's a lot of nuances, and you'd have to try it yourself to really understand.
Interesting. But you gotta put me on this stuff as soon as possible, inshallah. And on that note, I think we're gonna call it a day, because otherwise we're gonna have to do a Joe Rogan style podcast. Just talk about stuff for 3 hours. But thank you so much for coming on to the podcast, Mubasheer. I really appreciate you coming here and talking to me about your history, your journey, and GOATA, and this new lifestyle that you've been trying to go through. And welcome back to the field. Welcome back to football. And I hope you succeed, and you hope you recover quickly, and I hope this GOATA stuff really works for you.
For sure.
And this was a very interesting talk. Great conversation, alhamdulillah. And maybe I'll have you on another podcast to talk about the stuff we didn't get to talk about. But once again, thank you for coming to the podcast. As for you guys, I will leave all of his details down below, all his socials, his YouTube channel and everything.
What YouTube?
your dad's YouTube channel, the one where you have memorization, tips for it.
No.
Yeah, that really old. And then you got some khutbahs on there, inshallah. I'll put all of that stuff down below. Go check him out. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, and take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.